Pang, or Buster Bros as it was called in the US, is a game by Mitchell Corp, although many mistake it as a Capcom game. Well, technically it is related to Capcom, as some employees were former Capcom staff and also staff from TAD Corporation. Pang is a fairly simple concept in which two brothers travel around the world destroying bouncing balls with a variety of weapons. Why these balls are a thing is a mystery, but who cares? Pang is a very addictive, if not a little annoying at times, action game. The PC Engine release in Japan goes under the original name of the Japanese arcade. Even though it's known as Pang in Japan, the original title is Popping World. This port is very well done. The quality of the backgrounds is good with a nice use of colour, but most importantly, it's how it plays. And I'm happy to say that this port plays really well. Bouncing balls react just as they do in the arcade version. There is a little slowdown here and there, plus this port is tougher thanks to the enemies appearing sooner and more frequent. However, that doesn't take away from how good this port is. Apparently this Game Boy port was handled by Hudson Soft. Pang should feel right at home on the Game Boy, but sadly it's not. This version isn't as good as it could have been. First off, the entire bouncing ball movement is just so wrong, plus the speed at which they move is not smooth. Then there's the controls. They feel kinda laggy. A game like this needs precise movement too, but you won't find that in this port. Sadly, the Game Boy version isn't that good. Bloody hell, this ZX Spectrum port isn't half bad. We've actually got a very good port thanks to Arc Systems. It plays just as you'd expect it to and even sounds really good, with reasonable sound effects and some pretty good renditions of the arcade's music. Sadly, the colours can be troublesome at times. I find all the red backgrounds quite difficult to see where the balls are. Besides that, I'm actually surprised at how well this port turned out. Commodore 64 port was only released on cartridge, making it less common in Europe due to tape being the main format, despite it being the slowest. Still, that didn't stop the crackers from ripping the game from cartridge to floppy disk. The first thing that struck me about this C64 port is just how wanky the ball graphics are. I mean, just look at them. Pure circles with no detail whatsoever. The graphics for the basic rope shot are also sad. Thankfully, the gameplay isn't sad. We yet again have a good playing port of Pang, and yet another port with some pretty good renditions of the arcade music. This is the first time and probably the last time we'll ever have an Amstrad GX4000 game on Battle of the Ports. Just like with the ZX Spectrum and C64 games, this GX4000 port is really well done. Again, it plays well and makes use of the GX4000's graphic abilities, such as fading out that screen. Something the CPC couldn't do. Now this is what Amiga owners want, an arcade port that doesn't suck balls. Pang on the Amiga is a fantastic version, featuring tight gameplay, lovely graphics and all the stages from the arcade. What more could you ask for? It's about time we had another Amiga arcade port that's worth playing. Here we are with the Atari ST port of Pang. What we have here is a game practically the same as the Amiga version, but with slightly worse colour and audio. It still plays really well though. The PlayStation port of Pang can be found on the Super Pang Collection, which was released in 1997. This is the American release, hence the name Buster Bros. Sadly, this game will not run on my system and hangs at the main game, so all I can show you is the rolling demo, unfortunately. On the PSP you can also play Pang, thanks to Capcom Puzzle World, a compilation of various Capcom puzzle games. Now while you might expect this to be an arcade emulation, it is in fact an actual port with updated graphics. The new look does retain the feeling of the original, thankfully. However, the arranged music is maybe somewhat not suited. Not to worry, the original soundtrack is also available. Playing in widescreen may have you wondering if the gameplay has changed. It's actually just the same as it was with the original 4x3 mode. So no worries there. There's no official port of Pang on the Famicom, but there is this Saturn knockoff release, which I thought would be interesting to show you. The game starts off on Mount Fuji just like the original, but soon changes order. The gameplay is slightly different in that you need to fill up a charge bar at the bottom right of the screen in order to progress to the next level. This is done by clearing 4 or 5 waves of bubbles. Talking of which, the bubbles don't move as they should. They also respawn into smaller bubbles off center to where they should respawn. This can be rather annoying at times. Still, for a knockoff, it's not too bad. And let's take a look at all those versions of Pang running side by side.